It worked.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Shalom Aleichem.
How you doing?
How are you guys doing? Welcome to Emunah class in honor of our friend Sally Miller. Emunah is the art of not just believing in God, but having trust and faith in God and in extending to how it affects our behavior and our emotions. For this class, this is the 7th class. I've been using as a jumping off point the 1,000-year-old work called Chovos Halavovos, Duties of the Heart, specifically the part called Shar HaBitachon, the gate of trust in God, as well as a YouTube commentary on it by a Lubavitch rabbi named Sheyes Taub, who is very entertaining. So that those are my influences, and it says that if you mention who you heard Torah from, it brings Mashiach. So I want to say that not much of this comes from my own mind. It's like anything. You have teachers. So we've been talking up until now, really the introduction to Bitachon, which is all the reasons why it's a great idea to have Bitachon. And we're going to finish up with that today and then really just begin to answer the question, what exactly is Bitachon? So one more reason to have Bitachon, to have this faith or trust in God, is that it maintains your ability to have joy in any situation. You can have joy in any situation, even obviously in tough situations. When you're not in an ideal situation, whether it's illness, whether it's financial loss, whether it's, you're just having a tough day, or you lose a job, whatever it may be, you remind yourself, Hashem would only do something good for me. Hashem, this is the mantra, Hashem would only do something that's good for me. Now, like medicine, my kids, it's hard with kids. Like Rowie, there was medicines where you just wouldn't take it. Like there was no way to get him to take this medicine because it tasted so bitter and he couldn't get his head around the idea that he needed it. Well, in a similar way, there's a lot of medicine that we have to swallow that may not taste so sweet, but as long as we remember, there's nothing that Hashem will send me that isn't for my good, that isn't for some possible benefit to my soul. Now, again, sometimes it requires taking a step back and realizing that we're not just this body and life is not just about pleasure. Because if life was just about pleasure and this body, then there's no way we could argue this, right? Because sometimes a person is in pain and they have Emunah, they have Bitachon, and they say, God, I know whatever I'm going through is good for my soul, right? It may not be good for the way I'm feeling at this very moment, but I know, just like when somebody has a surgery and they have to cut them open and put them through pain, but to fix them, that's the context that I put this in. Just again, Hashem would only do something good for me. That is the deep core value. Now, even if your whole life has been challenging and you need courage, there's people who just have not had it easy their whole entire life. They still can have bitachon and they still believe that Hashem is doing something good for me, and bitachon will always bring them hope. And that is a key idea, hope, right? Faith, without faith, there's no hope, right? And without hope, you just give up. Hope is the emotion that keeps us going, that keeps us pursuing what we're trying to reach. It keeps us trying to become better and better people, because you're always hoping hey, I hope, and I'm hoping for this conclusion. I'm hoping to heal. I'm hoping for financial security. I'm hoping to find another job. And so that hope gives you the drive. It gives you the koach. Without hope, there'd be no koach. If there's no hope, you just lie there like a dead person because you don't have any hope. So where does the hope come from? Kaveh el Hashem, chazak v'yametz libecha v'kaveh el Hashem. Hope to God, strengthen your heart and hope to God, because that bitachon is the source of hope. This belief, Hashem would only do something good for me, and so I'm going to have the audacity to hope for something that I understand is good. Pessimism is really like a realistic approach to things. A pessimist sees the facts maybe more clearly than the optimist. Often you see this at a board meeting, right? There's the pessimists and there's the optimists, and the optimists are like kind of dreaming, oh, it's going to be good, don't worry. And the pessimists are like, no, I see facts, I see numbers, what's the deal here? And a pessimist is just a realist that's reached a bad conclusion, right? He or she are looking at the facts and they don't have enough hope. They don't have enough emunah, they don't have faith. So they've reached a conclusion based on facts, missing any type of hope or faith that things are going to work out, right? What makes an optimist is a feeling of hope and faith, that things should work out, things can work out, and I believe they will, right? So even in the face of over and over doors being shut, Emunah can continue to give you that strength to have hope and to be optimistic, right? Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I really want to be a pessimist today. I really want to be negative about everything and think everything's going to go horrible, right? People, to be a happy person, to be a useful person in the world, you really need to have some optimism. You have to have some hope, or else you're not really going to even try. You're just going to deflate everybody and say, it's not going to work. Not going to work. There's no, I'll give you 10 reasons why it's not going to work. I'll give you 10 reasons why everything's going to be miserable and bad. So, it's not that pessimists are not realists. It's just that they don't have that hope, which is it's a basic building block of anything that humans do, right? Without hope, Einstein's not going to sit there and work really hard on figuring something out because he doesn't believe he's going to do it. Nobody would believe. So hope and belief are very much intertwined. Bitachon allows a person to maintain hope, and hope, again, is really one of the most important things that we have. We just can't lose hope. So, I go back to my experience with cancer. When I was really sick, my bitachon and Hashem, I started talking to Hashem, I know you're going to help me through this. Please help me through this. It wasn't that like I knew I was going to get help through this. I could have died, and I knew that was a possibility, but I also knew that was in Hashem's hands. I knew that whatever I said, Hashem, I want to live. I have a family to raise. I have a wife to take care of. I have a shul. So I know you're going to do what's right and you're going to do what's good. And I'm hoping I have the audacity to hope that you're going to give me life. So you can never lose hope. The moment you lose hope, and also, Viktor Frankl talks about this a lot in, Man's Search for Meaning, about all the people in the Holocaust, the ones who had hope lived, but in general, they could be starving, but their hope kept them going. And as soon as a person would completely lose hope and meaning, boom, they would just die. Like their souls would not hang on. So it's really hope that it almost helps our soul stay in this world. The book, the Shar Bitachon, gives a mashal, and this is very interesting. It says, like, what is this like? Again, remember that mantra which is Hashem would only do something good for me. So what is this like? How should we picture Hashem doing something good for me? If you want like another way of picturing this, picture Hashem like a mother. It's amazing, right? Like we always talk about Hashem as the father, the guy, but he says Hashem is the mother, taking care of her infant, feeding, changing, swaddling, unswaddling, right? Everything that, like, we're like infants, like babies who don't know the first thing about taking care of ourselves. And that's like every day of our life, Hashem is taking care of us like a mother takes care of a baby. That's like to the extent. Like, it's not like, oh, once in a while, God takes care of us or steers our path. It's like, to the extent that we are these little babies that can do nothing for ourselves, and Hashem is running the show around us. That's what Hashem is doing for us, and we don't even know it. So when you have this idea,
what are you doing?
When things come your way, what's your reaction like? If you have this mantra, if something bad happens or you're dealing with a difficult situation and you have bitachon, what's your attitude going to be like? There's a question you guys can answer. Like, what do you think your attitude is? Are you going to be nervous? Are you going to be calm? Are you going to have a strong reaction, or are you going to have a measured reaction? Right. But when you have that gratitude, there's not, like, a lot of times you see people when they're in a tough situation. A lot of times I'll get a call and it'll be, Rabbi, I am so miserable. I need to vent to you. I'm really like freaking out. And that's fine. That's my job. I listen to those calls all the time, and that's okay. But you don't freak out when you have bitachon. It greatly minimizes your freaking out. You got snubbed by somebody didn't do right by you. You don't overreact. You don't freak out. You stay calm, you relax, you wait, you say, okay, God, let me figure out how this is helping me. Like, how is this playing into the way that I'm supposed to deal with things? And there's no knee-jerk reaction. Like, the way we're programmed to do things is we're always knee-jerk reacting. And I've become more and more convinced that the key to successful life is not to overreact. Like, so many of the mistakes in life happen because people overreact. They it's like, I once saw somebody get in a car accident. I was young, and it was imprinted in my mind, and it was very scary. But what happened was they swerved one way, and then to try to fix it, they had swerved the other way. This was on a highway, and then they swerved the other way, meaning they couldn't take a measured reaction. They were like trying to fix it, but in fixing it, they actually made it worse by swerving. And so many things in life, if you just take a deep breath and wait, they'll get better. Like, just give it a day or two. Like, you may feel like it's the end of the world today. Don't do anything drastic. Take a deep breath and say, let me sit a few days on this. And that bitachon gives you that strength to wait, to just not overreact. Like they say, don't just do something, sit there. You ever heard that? Don't just do something, sit there. So bitachon is a calming force. You have bitachon if you feel grounded when you're facing challenge. Because that's when it really comes out. Like we all say we have bitachon, and hopefully we do, and there's ways to engender bitachon, but you really know you have bitachon when you hit adversity. That's when you're gonna find out, am I freaking out? I'm all alone. I gotta fix this. It's on me. I gotta fix it. Or are you realizing that I'm in Hashem's hands at this very moment? Take a deep breath, figure out a smart way to go about this, or even don't do anything and take a day just to let things sink in. Bitachon will calm you down. Whatever's happening, we can trust in Hashem. Whatever may be happening, we can trust in Hashem. Now, obviously, sometimes you have to, like, if somebody's, collapses on the the bima, God forbid. I'm not saying to say, oh, let's relax, don't do anything. Hashem will take care of it. It's more about adjusting to a situation. Like sometimes you do have to react, and that's okay that you have to react. But once there's a clear situation, do we emotionally get freaked out, or do we take some time to say, Hashem, help me understand this? So another way of saying this is we can do God's work in the world, right? We do God's work in the world, but we can't do God's job. God's job is to run the show. That's not our job. God's work is when you help people, you're kind, but we don't have to do God's job. We have to do God's work. And it's important to realize as well that a lot of the things that weigh on us, right? Can you guys think of like something that weighs on you often? Like something that gives you pressure, that you believe is completely on you to do. So a lot of those things don't really depend on us quite as much as we think, right? There's a lot of things that, we believe we have to do A, B, and C, or else everything's going to collapse. And sometimes you do A, B, and C and everything collapses. And sometimes you don't do A, B, and C and nothing collapses. You realize, okay, I make a plan and I follow the plan, but who's really in charge? Is it really on me? The answer is no. The answer is it's really in Hashem's hands. Like a lot of things that we think are totally dependent on us, that we pressure ourselves tremendously, you know what? It's not really fully dependent, meaning maybe we feel like if we do this, will really help this person. You can do this, but sometimes you do it and it doesn't help the person, and sometimes you do it and the doing it is your job, but it's the doctor who's helping the person, right? It's not on you to save their life. It's on you to call 911, right? But it feels like I need to save this person's life. Okay, so like a lot, I'm still wrapping my head around that because I weigh myself down with a lot of worries over what I feel is my responsibility. But I think a lot of these things you could put down and you could just do tasks. You can do the tasks without carrying that burden of, if I don't do this, it's going to be a disaster. That's a lot of burden to carry. We're all God's children. We're all God's children. So does that mean that that my kids are God's grandchildren? No, exactly. God has no grandchildren. God has no grandchildren. But believe it or not, we're all God's only child. Every single human being is like God's only child. You ever see a parent with an only child? Do they keep an eye on the child? Do they take care of the child? None of us are being let wander into the street. It's not happening. Hashem it watches each of us like we're the only child of this divine mother. That's the image, right? That I'm an only child of a divine mother, all-powerful mother who's always there for me. That's Bitachon. I am the only child of this all-powerful divine mother who's always taking care of me. That's Bitachon. Let go and let God, they say. Any questions so far? Nope. In Igeras HaKodesh of the Tanya, written by the Alter Rebbe, who lived in the 1700s, late 1700s, chapter 11, he talks about Bitachon. And he says, if a person could constantly remember and put into the front of their mind that Hashem is creating this universe, right? That everything we're perceiving is in constant creation, something from nothing, it would be impossible to be upset. You couldn't not be joyous and in love with the creation. Because if you understand that Hashem is constantly making this creation be, and that's what we believe, right? We believe it intellectually, but if you could actually emotionally believe it, like realize that everything you're seeing, our reality here, is a constant projection from Hashem, right? It's like a movie from this director that's constantly going, then you fall in love with everything in the movie because it's the perfect movie. Everything that Hashem creates is perfect. Every moment is a gift. And that's why it's called the present. See, I'm learning all these bad rabbi jokes from this rabbi. I probably won't remember them because they're better, right? Every moment is a gift. That's why it's called the present. If I start saying those kind of things, you're gonna kick me, okay? Maybe I'll get like that when I get older. But I really did think about that. Like, I think love is an incredibly important emotion. Because if you, again, let's take a step back and stand here and try to realize that everything is a creation of Hashem. Thus, it's perfect. This creation is perfect. And therefore, at its core, it's perfect, right? Definitely, once you take steps down the line. But at the core, everything is perfect. And therefore, we should love, if we love Hashem, we love everything and everyone around us, right? So that our core emotion as we get up and look around and go about life is love. We should love everyone. And in fact, the only emotion that's, not valid then, if you don't see God in everything, where you don't see God, that's where there's hatred. Like hatred comes about because a person doesn't see God there. So a person could hate another human being because they don't realize, hey, that's God coming right through. That's a projection of Hashem. So, so the only thing that we're allowed to hate is hatred, right? We love everything. And when you don't love something, when a person decides they're going to deny that something is a perfect creation of God and therefore hate it, right? Not, dislike it or hate it, they're denying God in that. So that's the only thing that's the only thing we're allowed to not like is dislike itself. Am I getting too out there? Right? The only thing that we should be hating is hatred. Right? Love of all people, love of life, love of the world. That is a core thing because it's all from Hashem.
Were you defining all sin as hatred? A guy robbed a bank.
Yes, I think at its core, because he's not seeing Hashem in that other person. If he loved that other person, he wouldn't rob from them. So it's like all.
Are you allowed to hate sin?
That's what yeah, exactly. There's a line, Ohavei Adonai sinu ra. Those who love God hate evil. So and that's what I think it means, which is, I mean, on a simple level, it's just like, if you want to be a lover of God, hate all the evil in the world. But I think it gets back to this concept. It's a very deep concept, which is that to really love God, the only thing that you hate is evil, which is that, that which denies God, that which denies love. I think you could distill everything down to that. I'm not going to do that, but I think you could distill everything down to the idea that if you really believe that God created everything and God is with us right now, then you're just going to feel this love and peacefulness. But remember, the Balatanya, the Alter Rebbe says, if a person could feel this. So it's like not very easy to constantly believe and to understand that the whole world is a projection of perfection by God, and that therefore we should be in love with everything we're seeing and doing. That's a very high level of existence, but we should aim for that. Just because we can't do it all the time doesn't mean you shouldn't wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to try to project love towards everybody and see God everywhere. Right? I'm trying to see that you're trying to see God everywhere and in everybody. And then, so what is, you see God in evil by not liking it, if that makes any sense. It's almost like a negative kind of love. Right? If you love God, you'll automatically hate the opposite of God. So everything that comes our way is a gift, whether it seems good or bad, whether good or bad. There's a bracha that we make when something good happens that we perceive as good, and we say, Baruch atah Hashem, hatov u'meitiv. And there's a bracha that we say when something that we perceive as bad comes our way. Baruch atah Hashem, dayan ha'emet. Right, you are the true judge. And it really goes back to something Sally used to always say, which is, don't say, why did you do this to me? Say, why did you do this for me? Meaning even the negative things, therefore, are a gift. Even the negative things are a gift. Going back to, again, to the beginning, right? Hashem would only do something good for me. Even if this feels bad and I'm going through struggle right now, I believe that my heavenly mother would only do something good for me. So it's all for our benefit. There's a story of a chassid who came to the third Lubavitcher Rebbe, the Tzemach Tzedek. And he was having all kinds of problems in business, and his family was falling apart because of it. And he said, I don't know what to do. Rebbe, I'm like, really, I need God's help. And he told him, study the section that I just mentioned in the Tanya, study about Bitachon. Learn about Bitachon. And the chassid said to him, okay, I'll definitely study it, but I think I'd be able to study it a whole lot better if I had 10,000 rubles in the bank. And so it's true that Bitachon is easier to buy into when things are going well. Right? A lot of people, say, I believe in God, God's with me, everything is great when everything's going great. Right? When you have the 10,000 rubles in the bank. But the real test of the Bitachon, and it's good to nourish your Bitachon when things are okay. Right? Feel that love for the universe when you wake up and it's a bright day and it's beautiful. That's a good, easy time to feel bitachon. But if you don't feel bitachon, then, how are you going to feel it when things are difficult? Right? When things are difficult, when you're dealing with a difficult situation, that's when it's truly important. That's when it comes to rescue you and keep your hope alive, right? Because, often when things are going good, we say, I don't need you, God, right? I got it. So we're not saying that things should be awful for us. Like we're not inviting God, hey, God, please bring on the bad times. I know it's good for my neshama. Like clearly we're hoping for redemption, for good feeling. There's nothing wrong with that. Right? That hope is a hope for something better. Right? So they don't clash with one another. We're not saying, this idea, he said, like the chassid said, I will study Bitachon, but if I had 10,000 rubles, it would make it easier for me to study Bitachon. And I think there's something true in that, which is we got to focus on the good. Like we do want to try to find the good things in life and be grateful for them, rather than just, focusing on what's bad and saying, Hashem, I know that this is, you're doing what's right for me, but okay. So that's the end of the introduction. This whole time, all 7 weeks that we've been talking, we were doing the introduction about him trying to sell Bitachon, which is really a major section. It's probably the biggest section, is him trying to say why it's important for us to have Bitachon. But now he gets into, besides that, all the advantages and benefits, the spiritual, emotional, and physical. It's spiritual. You're closer to God. You study Torah. You really, when you're davening, you're really speaking to Hashem when you have Bitachon. Emotional, like we said, you're joyous. You're more calm. You don't overreact. You're not worried. You're not as stressed out. And then even physical, benefits of just, taking care of our bodies, because we know that God is looking after us, and we want to do what's best for Hashem. But what exactly is Bitachon? The essence of Bitachon, he says, is menuchas nefesh, which means tranquility. The essence of Bitachon, of faith, is tranquility. And that tranquility comes from this idea that Hashem, I'm relying on Hashem to do what is good. I'm giving up, and I'm relying on you, Hashem, to do what is good. So that, you're paddling. Bitachon is when you say, okay, I'm going to just breathe. And that's why I think relaxation and breathing, are like Eastern type of meditation of breathing, is very much connected to Bitachon. Just like you can, let me, whoever's talking, can you mute yourself?
Bill.
Okay. I'm just gonna mute everybody. Whoever's talking in the background.
One is around in the center. It's beautiful. It's never coming back again. So here's what the story is.
It's Phil, Rabbi. Phil. Yell to Phil.
This way.
It's Phil. Oh, okay. There we go. It's quiet. All right. So this breathing exercises and meditation is a form of bitachon, right? That tranquility when you breathe, because you believe in your next breath. Just breathing is an expression of bitachon. It's something that just happens. You can rely on it. Hashem is giving you breath by breath. So feeling that breath and not being stressed out about all the other factors, just sitting quietly, breathing slowly and feeling the breath going in and the breath going out. That is an exercise in bitachon. When you're just tranquil in the moment, relying on your breath, breathing in, breathing out. And that's why, the basic definition of a person is ruach, right? Breath is the breath that God blew into our nostrils. That's the root of our neshama. Neshima means to breathe, right? So the word neshama itself comes from breath. So this bitachon, so breathing as bitachon, tranquility. There's a story about a guy in the shul who falls asleep every week when the rabbi gives his drasha. His name's Yankel. Yankel always falls asleep every time I give my drasha. Usually it takes about 10 minutes and Yankel's out. But this one time, as I'm getting ready to speak, I look down and Yankel's already passing out. Eyes rolled back. I didn't even say anything yet. So I yell, Yankel, I didn't even start yet. And he says, don't worry, Rabbi, I trust you. That's bitachon. When you're ready to just go to sleep because you got it. You got it. It's trust. You trusting that God is dependable, reliable, and we know that God will deliver. Like, do we really believe that there's any possibility that God won't be reliable and deliver? It's like Old Faithful. And they call Old Faithful. Why do they call it faithful? Where is their faith thing? Because we know every 90 minutes, boom, kablooey, Old Faithful is going to erupt. We trust in Old Faithful. That's bitachon. Bitachon is when you trust, you just know it's dependable. It's going to happen. So you just have tranquility, knowing that it's going to happen. At the very root of bitachon is total confidence. Bitachon is total confidence. Hashem, I'm so confident in you, in your ability, and I'm confident that you want to do what's good for me. So it's like really confidence in two things. One, that Hashem wants to do what's good for us, and two, that Hashem is able to deliver. And in concept, these things all sound good. But bitachon is when you really believe this, when you believe it. Hashem is with me all the time and wants to do good for me, and Hashem can deliver. And we have to remember that Hashem's the way Hashem deals with us is chesed, right? God is kind to us. We're not talking like, we don't believe in this God who's very vengeful. Like, he says, well, yeah, you ate that thing the other day. I would have helped you out and been on your side, but you ate that ham sandwich when nobody was looking. So now, I'm not on your team anymore. That's not Hashem is our, remember, the divine mother who were there, or her only child. It's the whole relationship is generosity, is giving, is kindness, even if we don't deserve it, especially when we don't deserve it. So having Emunah always opens up the channels for Hashem to be kind to us, because we believe it. I believe, Hashem, I believe that you're going to be kind to me. I don't deserve it. It's not because I deserve it, right? It's because I know you are dependable, you are kind, and you love me, right? So it's kind of like thinking positive. There's a famous saying in Chabad, tracht good, wird sein good. If you think good, it'll be good. So that bitachon kind of makes things better because you are opening up yourself to receiving good. When you're thinking bad, you're closing yourself off and everything takes a bad path. When you think good, things good come your way. All right, that's it for tonight. Anybody have any questions? Hello, Halim. I gotta go. I'm in the middle of the class. Oh, well, no, but I'll call you on the way. All right, bye-bye. Okay, any questions? Yes, Sheila. You gotta unmute yourself. Hello?
My
Okay.
key got stuck.
Oh, there you go.
My key got stuck. My question is, how do you spell that word that you keep saying? Tanot? How do you spell
Bitachon?
that word?
Bitachon? Is that the one?
Yeah, how do you spell that?
Bitachon. Bitachon.
And that's the Hebrew word?
Yes, it means trust.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome. Any other questions, guys? Thank you so much for coming. It's an honor to Sally and to all of us that we grow in our Torah together and our faith. And just remember that beautiful line. Just remember that Hashem would only do something good for me. And really try to keep that in your heart, and that picture of the Divine Mother taking care of her baby. These are images that will hopefully bring us tranquility and remember to breathe. All right, guys.
Great
Thank
class,
you.
Rabbi. Thanks.
Very
Thank
good class.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Rabbi.
you.
Thanks.